In the 1980s, the popular video game industry was characterized by bad and repetitive games that leading game company Atari was manufacturing and selling. In 1985, Nintendo released the game Super Mario Bros. With their new gaming console, the NES. Presenting a more interactive gaming experience, NES sales skyrocketed, selling hundreds of thousands of units in a remarkably short time. Nintendo and Super Mario Bros. Changed history by allowing a new gaming experience that was more mainstream. Nintendo communicated their new gaming experience, which was designed to allow people to have fun playing interactive games with their friends and family in their own homes without having to go to an arcade. The success of these interactive gaming systems continued to grow and expand in the new gaming experiences such as virtual reality and the ability to play online with friends. However, one might be wondering, how did Nintendo get this popular? How are they one of the biggest gaming companies today? Well, let's find out in this documentary on the history of Nintendo.
In 1889, Fusajiro Yamauchi began manufacturing Hanafuda, or Japanese playing cards, in Kyoto. In 1902, he began to manufacture Western playing cards, which were popular in Japan as well as in the West. In the 1950s, Nintendo became more of an established company, with Hiroshi Yamauchi as its new president.
A crucial part of Nintendo's history is that in 1963 they changed their name to Nintendo Corporation Limited and started manufacturing games in addition to playing cards. In 1969, they expanded and reinforced the game department. They built a production plant in Uji City, a suburb of Kyoto, Japan. In 1970, the company began selling the beam gun industry, which employed optoelectronics, introducing electronic technology into the toy industry for the first time in Japan. In 1973, the company developed a laser clay shooting system, which rivaled bowling as a major pastime in Japan. In 1975, in cooperation with Mitsubishi Electric, Nintendo developed their first video game system ever, using an electronic video recording player for Japan. In 1976, the microprocessor was introduced into a video game system, also created by Nintendo. In 1977, the company started to develop home use video games, again in cooperation with Mitsubishi Electric. TV Game 15 and TV Game 6. Fast forward to 1980, they began selling the Game & Watch product line in Japan, the first portable LCD video games with the processor. Atari at the time was the dominant force in the gaming industry. However, something in 1982 was about to change that. In July of 1982, Atari had paid $21 million to rights to make a video game for Steven Spielberg's new blockbuster E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Howard Scott Warshaw was the only programmer tasked with designing the game. Steven Spielberg suggested to him that he make something like Pac-Man, and he was shocked. He was stunned. He was flabbergasted because one of his idols was suggesting that he knocked off Pac-Man. His impulse was to go, well, gee, Steven, couldn't you make something more like The Day the Earth Stood Still? Warshaw's stock was high at Atari, at only 24 years old. He had just finished the video game of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Spielberg considered him a certifiable genius, and 36 hours earlier, he had been handpicked for their next collaboration. Quoting Warshaw himself, "It was a day that would live in infamy in my life forever. I was sitting in my office and I get a call from the Atari CEO. He said, 'Howard, we need the ET video game done. Can you do it?' And I said, 'Absolutely. Yes, I can.' The CEO goes, 'We need it for September 1st. That left 5 weeks to do it. Normally it'd be 6 to 8 months to do a game, not 5 weeks. Then he said, design the game and on Thursday morning be at the airport, and there will be a Learjet waiting to take you to Spielberg. I'm not exactly sure what I was full of, but whatever it was, I was overflowing with it. End quote. Warshaw drew up his pitch to Spielberg and traveled to the Atari headquarters in Sunnyvale, California, to Los Angeles. His idea was an adventure game in which the player helped TE phone home by collecting components to make an interplanetary telephone. They'd have to dodge government objects and scientists in order to complete the mission. Quoting Warshaw once again. I got down to Spielberg and I laid out the whole design. I told him, I think it's really important that we do something innovative. E.T. is a breakthrough movie and I think we need a breakthrough game. I talked him out of the idea of a Pac-Man knockoff, but the key was to design a game I could deliver in 5 weeks. End quote. Atari needed E.T. to be a hit. In 1982, sales had reached a peak of $2 billion, but the company was losing market share to home computers like the Commodore 64, which could do more than just play games. From Warshaw. It was the hardest I've ever worked on anything in my life. I started working at the office, but after a while I realized there was a problem. I still have to go to my home to eat and sleep occasionally. So we never had another development system installed in my house so that I could never be more than 2 minutes away from working on the code, except when I was driving. A manager assigned Warshaw to make sure he was eating so that he'd be able to keep going. When he came to the end of the process, his reaction was thrill. He was so happy that he had done it. Little did he know what he had done. Atari had ordered an initial run of 4 million copies and budgeted $5 million on what would be, at the time, the biggest ever advertising campaign for a video game. To begin with, the game was right there on the Billboard top sellers, but word began to spread that there were serious problems. Players complained that the E.T. character would inexplicably fall into pits and get stuck. Atari soon realized that the game was not going home. In early December of 1982, it announced disappointing sales for the year and the value of the parent company Warner Communications plunged, thus beginning the fall of the video game industry. However, in 1983, Nintendo tried to fix this. They started work on the home video game console Family Computer, or Famicom for short, employing a custom CPU or custom processing unit and PPU, or picture processing unit. In 1984, they developed and started selling the unique twin-screen interactive coin-operated video game, the VS system. At the same time, they launched the Famicom system in Japan, later renamed the Nintendo Entertainment System when it launched worldwide. Software titles were developed one after another, from Excitebike, Super Mario Bros. And Metroid to The Legends of Zelda and Punch-Out! However, Super Mario Bros. Was the only game that became a smash hit quickly. Studies at the time showed that children were as or more familiar with Mario as they were with Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny. In 1986, the Nintendo Entertainment System was launched in Europe and instantly became a major hit and a must-have in homes across the continent. Mario went on to be one of the most best-selling games of all time, causing a franchise of over 35 years to be created. Nintendo's sales also skyrocketed in that era, as there were no real competitors for a long time. In 1990, Nintendo released the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, and one mass hit such as Super Mario Kart was released. Super Mario Kart changed two-player games forever. It had action-packed fun that anyone could pick up and put down easily and not miss anything. This was part of the cause of what we have today, with online play being so prominent and popular. So today, you can easily play with your friends on any game you want, as long as they have the game. And it doesn't require that much of a technical setup. Nintendo went on to release many more hit video game consoles, such as the Nintendo Wii, the Nintendo 64, and the Nintendo Switch. One game, Super Mario Maker 2, allows people to connect to each other online in a way that is revolutionary. In Super Mario Maker 2, you can create or play courses with your friends, and then compete with up to 3 other players, or play them together, going towards a common goal. Super Mario Maker 2 went on to sell a remarkable 2.42 million copies in the first 3 days, signifying how important the game is to many people and how popular it's become. Back in July 10th of 2020, a copy of Super Mario Bros. For the original Nintendo Entertainment System sold for $114,000, showing how Super Mario Bros. Continues to be a valuable, great game today and is loved by many people. In conclusion, that is how Nintendo rose to dominance, saved the video game industry, and became one of the 3 major video game distributors of today. Thank you for watching.